Alright, we got our mobile suites back. Some of the concerns that I brought up to the owner was the caulking on here, so he brought it back to the dealership to see what they were going to do about it. I don't know if you can see those little ripples. Up underneath those little ripples, those are air pockets. So when this coach just travels a little bit, you know, over time, that's going to breach. When it does, it's going to leave holes in it. A bunch of little holes too. For every little bubble, that's going to be a little hole. Okay, so they brought it to the dealership, and the dealership couldn't do anything, but Mobile Suites themselves, they said take care of it. So that's why it's in here, which is good news. But all of this right here, see it? See if we can get a better look. I'll try and, there you go. See all that, those little bubbles? Those are air pockets right up underneath there. So if we cut those out, you're going to see little tiny holes in there. And that's what we're doing, because we want to seal it. Because there's not very much strength on that at all to keep the water out. Not by the time a coach, especially this size, it's going to rack and shift and vibrate. And when it does, and that pops, that'll leak. When it leaks, gets inside there, we've got some rot. So we're going to show you over here. Let me get in there for a second now. So what we're doing is surgically removing this caulking because the paint job is so nice. Let me show this right here.
Sorry there.
Yeah. So we did this one section right here, and you can see all those tiny little holes in there.
About to get cut out.
That's what we're doing. We're going to cut it out. You can see them right in there. See if I can steady that camera for you. See those little holes? Those are going to be little chronic leaks. So we're going to take care of it. Now on this other end, that I haven't even done anything to it yet. And that's why I got the camera, because I wanted to show you guys. Doesn't seem like much, but it's going to destroy this coach. So here's the slide out. This is the slide out right here. This whole piece. Here's the window and everything. You can see the caulking right here. You can see all those ripples in there. And that is just a terrible job. So check this out right here. I haven't done anything yet. And it's already, the knife is already falling in. See? I'm barely holding this thing. That's a hole right there. A gap. And it will just give you these weeks. You can actually see all the little droplets there too, the little pockets rather. There's another one right here. So that's what we're doing. We're going around this whole thing, taking our time to try to make sure that this thing is done just right. Got a few more right here. And this is what we're going to do, is take out just this little section. This one is the bad spot. Now right up in here, that's okay. Right there, this is not. So, it's a pretty good grade caulk, though, I gotta say. It is a urethane. Clear, just kind of hard to work with. Colored will flow better, but on a coach like this with all the graphics on it, or the paint job, this is really hard to put different colors on here. They don't make all these colors. This is going to be very time consuming. Let's see if I can get that out of there. Now let me show you what we got. See all those tiny little holes underneath there? That's what we would need to resolve. That water will just get in there, the moisture. What'll happen, especially now it's cold here, okay, it's January. So we're gonna get a freeze snap coming in. It's gonna be like 12 degrees. But during the day when you get condensation on there, when the condensation gets here, you'll come into the night, the condensation moisture will get in there. The moisture will freeze. When it freezes, it turns to ice. Ice expands. It'll make it just a little bit bigger. Then it'll thaw out. Then the next time, same thing. It'll freeze, make it just a little bit bigger than it did the night before, and eventually it'll start working it, and this thing will just start falling apart. So that's why we put 2 layers on the roof system, is for that purpose there. But again, the clear is, you have to be real methodical the way you apply it. Now this side didn't seem to come out so bad. So there's sections where it looks like, I don't know if that was the end of the tube or what, but it's just not as well as it could be. There's the back side here. It was all one piece. Let me come around the other side. This is the driver's side rear. And this side doesn't look all so terrible up here. But now you come inside, you got more bubbles. Look at all those bubbles. See? So like I said, we'll have to work with those and get them cleaned up and go along this whole thing. I'll open up the slide outs. We'll check the glass and everything on the inside, and we'll keep you up to date on what we get going. But that's why she's back. We're back at our mobile suites. The one I wanted to show you. Maybe I'll see in there. There's another slide out. See there, the way they caulk that, the big gap. No caulking in there. You stand back here, you can't really see it. Even right in here, you barely see that maybe. I mean, I can see it right there, that little bit. From standing back, and I'm probably like, 18 inches away from this coach. So there's none in here either. All the way down this whole slide out frame. That's the whole slide out is right over there. That's what we're going over. Just as I shut the camera off, I came around the other side and I noticed this right here. Look at that, that's a big gap right there. All of that. Nothing there. You notice that one there? And these will, water get in there and it'll start rotting out that slide out floor. So these are just some areas I want to show you. While we're straightening it out, this coach is, I guess, about $125,000. That is some high dollar right there. Right here. We haven't even touched this yet. We got a little scratch there from whatever. I don't know where it's from. But we haven't even touched any of this yet. We haven't even gotten to the back. But we're going to put some touch-up paint on it anyways. Black is real hard to see on these ones. I think I already showed you this one. You can't really go over that because the other caulking is going to do the same thing. But we got to cut those out to smooth it down. That one maybe not so much. But we're giving you an update here. We peeled this caulking off of the edge of the slide out. You look real close. Oh, got blurred. You can see that the caulking, see the paint in there in between it? It wasn't sticking. See a couple of good holes down there? Those are the air pockets. That's what we're going to remedy. Then on this side, I'm going to see if I can get in there. There was a couple of good gaps. You could see that if water got behind there, if it did, it was going to leak down. It was going to leak down behind the fascia board here, and it would leak all the way down into the floor, and then it would rot out the floor. There's some, like this one in particular, that's a really good gap. Don't look like much. It doesn't take much. It's the chronic leaks that cause all this damage. It's not like you wake up one morning and you go, oh yeah, the roof, it was fine yesterday, now it's all rotted. It takes time, and those little bit of droplets, they keep collecting. So this is a piece that we pulled out right here. Let's see if I can magnify this or get close enough where you can actually see the air bubbles in it. Okay. That's why you want to check these things out real thoroughly. Alright, more updates on our mobile suites. So some of the things that they don't seal is around these doors. This is, it goes on wide, it'll be clear. If you can see the caulking that I put in there. So, let me show you on this side. So I haven't gotten around here yet. I showed you all this other stuff down here, the problems with it. So here's one of the door skins. So now the water is going to come traveling down, and it's got to go somewhere. It's going to sit in here. It's just going to happen. So let's check. It's not too bad right there. Get a little bit of the knife on there. There. Now I'm really in there. On here. See? You're going to get water. That one went down quite a bit. See, I put my finger there. That's how much that knife went down. That's pretty thin. Just one of those X-Acto blades. The water will get down in there and it'll rot out this door. And then you'll be coming back in asking me to rebuild the door for you. So we want to go around all of this here. All of that in there. All of these little inserts here. Around the door handle itself. All those little areas. They don't do that at the RV center. They think it's the water's gonna stay out. So we're gonna go around that. I use a really thin type of caulking. We have a bunch of different ones here at the shop, but I use a real thin one for this, and it'll get down into the smallest of cracks. So that's what we're working on right now. That was the white product that I showed you over there. And then we cleaned out some of the ripples like I was showing you here. We cleaned that out. And we're gonna go over that. Then more than likely, you know, we're going to touch up all this, and I'll show you how we do that later. But it'll look really, really sharp by the time we get through. One of the things that folks told me, they said, take care of it like it's your own. So that can sometimes be a problem in the sense that I am just really picky. Anybody who knows the work that I put out in this shop, if it's not right 100% and look as good as it can possibly look, I don't want it rolling out. And we'll do what we got to do to make it right. So that's what we're working on right now. Okay, here's our mobile suites, the one we've been working on. And then what we ended up deciding to do, you can see we sealed all this. And we're going to clean that up a little bit. But we're going to end up painting it. So if you see all that white, it's not going to be white. We got automotive paint for it. We're going to doll it up just right. But the other thing is that we noticed a lot of times water will come down these slide outs. And if water gets behind here, it's got to drain somewhere. If it doesn't drain right, it's going to drain and it's going to end up ruining the floor. And then you have to rebuild the floor. So what we're trying to do is figure out, that's why we get all this water here. What we're noticing is that it's coming underneath the floor. Right in there. It's not draining properly. Somebody also put all this foam in here. So we're going to see what all this issue is, get some of this foam out, and see if we can get it to drain right. Because if not, it'll start rotting back this way, up underneath here. And this is the actual coach, which means if we had to, if you had to rebuild this, we'd have to take the whole slide out and get at it. So we're going to try and remedy that now. But go pour some water down there. Just a little bit. See it? It's coming around. See it right here? It's coming out right here. So it's somehow it's getting behind this. So that's what we're going to remedy, so we don't end up with problems. This is a brand new coach, and we're going to take a look at it, see what we can do, and maybe as simple as just drilling an extra hole through here or something. But we got to address this real quick. So we're back up underneath it. What we decided to do is take off that turn bar. And when we did, all the way back here, we got water. So that means that water was traveling up underneath this. Halfway. At least halfway. Yeah, all the way there so far. Is it all out now?
I mean, it's still dripping.
Yeah, take the turn bar down. See what we got.
There's your gasket.
Yeah, that's the gasket for it. You see all those staples? That water would get right in where those staples are. And see, one of them already looks a little rusty right there.
Yeah.
Yep. So we're gonna take this out and see what the deal is on this. We'll keep you posted. This is what we found. So we take the gasket off here. Here it is. It goes up against this underside of this slide out. There's a wheel. So this is the floor of the slide out. And there's that little cup. Let's see if I can show you better. That little cup right here. This is where the water drained. What it did, it drained here. When it come down, it rolled this way and just kept going. So now there's probably not going to be a ton of water in there, but I don't want any water getting in there. That's what causes these problems. So we're going to probably have to cut this back a bit, and then we're going to seal it so no water can get in. I'm going to leave this one open, so this way if water does get in there, it can come down right here. You can see where I'm at. So this way, I'm not going to trap the water. I want it to get out. And I'll have to do the same to the other end down that way. That's my thumb going the other way, this way, towards the back end. And then we're going to check the other slide outs. They don't have these cups. I already checked that on this one. It doesn't have a cup in this. All it is just the slide out. But when water rolls down on here, it'll trickle back. It'll find the path of least resistance. So whichever way, if this thing has a slight lean one way or another, water's going to run back in there. I don't want it running back in there. And then going, you can see there's a slight gap in that other gasket in the inside. But water can run down there, and all it takes is those little droplets. That's all it takes. So we're going to see if we can remedy that. And I'm hoping I have enough time on it. The guy really needs this camper back. It's a camper. His coach. Same thing in here. So like I said, when water comes down, hits here, it'll roll back. The other things I really wanted to check out were the slide out. One of the things that already caught my attention I don't like. And again, I'm going to see if I have time. See the way that tape is rolled around? That's just a red flag to me. Rule of thumb, if it don't look nice and neat, then there's probably something wrong with it. So there's a slight warp in it too. I don't know if you can see that. There's a slight warp when it goes. It looks like it kind of does one of these numbers a little bit. Very slight. But now when they brought it back to the dealership, they added a couple of bigger screws to pull all that in. It did take some of it out because it was more prominent than that. So then what is that there? Did they leave that? Look at there, they left a hole there. So that's something else we'll address. We'll get that and get that squared away. It's the same thing down this other one. And we'll do the same thing on it. The same cup is back here. And we're gonna fix that and get that corrected. So, and what else do we see? There's something else over here too. Let me go around the back side. One of the things I didn't like is there's some screws right here. Now those ones don't look terrible, but if you look at this one up here, see if I get the camera in there. I have to come out this way to try to zoom in on it. That one's in crooked. You can see how crooked it is. You're going to get water droplets in there. We're going to get one on the other side. We saw a couple that were... Oh, there's one up there. If I can find out where I am with this camera. There we are. See that one sticking out? You know water's going to get behind that. There's no way it couldn't. So, and then check the same on the slide outs up there. We're real suspicious of whether there's any leaks way at the top of that bar. That flange that comes down, you can see it coming down in here. So, like I said, we're going to paint all this. We're not going to leave it like that at all. We'll make sure it's done right, nice and clean. Same thing up there. See, we can see those screws sticking out here. There's one on an angle right there. Then we're gonna trim up. You can see we zoom up. Got that little bit of booger caulking right there. We'll trim that up so it's nice and clean. There's a couple of spots I know we got to touch up. So if you're seeing them in the camera, they won't roll out that way. I promise you. Sometimes it's easier with this product to let it sit. When you have a certain time, you can go in and you can just clean that right up with a plastic razor blade, and it'll clean it right up. You won't even notice it was there. So that's about where we are. Got the same problem over here again. Water coming down on this slide out, running back in, going back that way. So, but we're gonna see as much as we can do. The other problem, and I don't even know if it's a problem or not. I've been got to look it up. This door opens down. The hinges right here. Every door on this coach, every door opens up. That one doesn't. I don't know why. So I don't know if we got to correct that or not. So that's about where we are. Let's see if this had one of those cups. There's a lot of foam back here, and the problem with all that foam, I mean, it's a good idea to have the foam in there for make it airtight, but the other problem is if water does get in there, that foam's going to direct it right back again up underneath this piece. You can see that big old clump of foam there? We gotta get that out of there. And then that gasket is there. I want to see where all this is draining. That's my bigger concern. This doesn't look to have the same cup system as I'm reaching in there. It doesn't seem to have the same cup system, but it is absolutely loaded with foam inside there, which again, water gets in there, hits that foam, it's gonna seep right down underneath this. Gets down in there, it's gonna get behind here. That's your wooden deck right in there for your floor. It'll wick right back in. It'll wick right back into the coach, and then you'll end up with a rotted floor, and you'll say, hey, I got a rotted floor under my slide out. In order to access that, these slide outs have to come out. That is a tremendous amount of work. And you know, a lot of these manufacturers, when they do things like this, after your 1 year is up, a lot of times they'll just bounce you the ball and say, well, we're real sorry about it. You'll have to take care of that yourself. So he said, we're going to inspect all this, and hopefully we got the time to do it if he doesn't come get it too soon. He said he probably needs it to go to work. He travels out. So this is a gorgeous, gorgeous coach. It's just these little things like that. Now we did an Alpine slide out floor, and these what rotted. This here all gave way, and this is sealed up pretty good. On the Alpine it wasn't. And what it did is it got down here and just wicked right in. More so from the top, it had wicked down and it rotted out that section there. It rotted behind here is some plywood. And again, this is on the Alpine, not on this one. But it's just an example, so that's what I'm looking at right now to see all this stuff, see if that's done right. And we're gonna get up there and do a prudent measure to check all that as well. We'll be back. All right, so we got all this white on here, which doesn't look so well. I don't think. I mean, it looks clean, but for what this thing costs, I think we should clean it all up, because you can see it around the doors and how it comes down and all here. And then you get all these nice colors coming in. So if this was my coach, this is the way we'd do it.
And this is definitely sparkly.
This is a color match.
Oh my.
Well, you already got touch-ups to do. So what we're going to do is going to paint all of this caulking right here, make it look nice and pretty. This is part of our art class.
I did good in art and school.
Yeah. Well, all the people on this watching this video are probably glad to know that. That's what we're going to do, go around the whole thing, so I'll show you what it's like when it's done. May have to give it a couple of coats to get to sit down there. Alright, these are our mobile suites. So we went around and we got all that caulking out of there. And then what we did is we color matched the maroon, charcoal, black. We got all the colors, and then we painted it all. You get it all nice made. It looks a lot better. If you look at the other clip there, we had it all white. And on a coach like this is a brand new coach, an expensive one at that. So we didn't want to just have all that white striping around there. It just didn't look well. So we painted it up. That's the way it should have looked. Then over here in this slide out, the issue that we had was where it was all leaking here. So we took care of this. and we fixed that little cup up there. But we took this down and we sealed it. We had some issues in the coach that we addressed too. These corners that are right here on the inside, up on the inside there, you may be able to see it. There's not a lot of light in there, but right there, the opposite slide out. There we go. Now we got some light right there. That's what we're doing now, is making sure they're all sealed nice and tight. We had some issues in the shower, that the shower was not sealed properly, so we took care of that as well. The top of the shower met the wall. It wasn't sealed. But you can see how nice and clean this thing looks. Come out terrific. Come out terrific. And see some of the other things that we did. There were some screws that we had to touch up. A lot of things like that. Just a few screws, I believe we were talking about earlier in the flange, and then a couple other things that we fixed. There's with the slide out, minor stuff, but we got it all squared away now, and it's ready to roll. So they're going to come get it. It come out looking real well. I'm really pleased with the way this coach come out looking. So we had a door over here that we had a concern with. We called Mobile Suites, and then this here, it just falls down. The Mobile Suite said on this model that's what it's supposed to do. He made some calls himself, and they took care of everything for us over there in that respect, and also got all this other stuff squared away for us on there. So they come out looking real well. But the other thing that I think I showed you is over there too, is the caulking in here. We sealed all that up. I think I remember showing you that, I don't know which door it was, that the knife could actually just drop in there, so we sealed all around there. If not, the water's going to get down in that crack. Right behind this pylon is just plywood. So the plywood would wick up all that water that gets down in there, and when it does, it would rot it out. Then when it rots it out, there's screws up underneath this piece that go back up inside the frame assembly in there, the way it's framed out. It would rot those out, and then eventually the door just starts falling apart. And that's one of the big criteria when you have a coach. You want to keep it sealed properly. You want to keep it sealed very well. Screws and other things will get in there and it'll just start rotting out, where the water gets in there rather, on those screws, and it'll start rotting it out, and then you have all those issues of things falling apart. We already did the roof. We showed you all that on the last video. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I might have forgot. It's been a busy week here.